بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. محمد رسول الله. اللهم صل والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of Imam Sahaba al-Asr wal-Zaman. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari occupies a prominent position within the religion of Islam and is seen as one of the greatest companions not only of our holy Prophet but also of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhima. A man whose life has to be studied in depth, for he is a man from whom many lessons can be learnt which can easily be applied into our own life, and indeed many examples may be derived. A man whose passion and bravery until today is seen as the mark of the greatest of the companions, and indeed a man who without a doubt was seen as the social reformer amongst the companions of the Holy Prophet. And the idea that many sociologists until today who study the religion of Islam continue to gain from the lessons of the life of Abu Dhar al-Ghafari in the way he interacted with the society that surrounded him. Because if ever there was a motto that embodied the character of Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, it would be the motto of a man who embodied the stand against injustice. We know very well that the very base of the religion of Islam is to stand against oppression and injustice at all times. Wherever you see oppression or injustice in the world, a Muslim must stand up against this and must try to implement justice and allow it to flourish within the society. As in sometimes we may see Muslims who are going through periods of injustice. It's not just enough for us to simply be sad about it. There has to be an active speaking out against this injustice. Because we know very well jihad can be with your soul, or it can be with your tongue, or it can be with your wealth. So there is a need for a human being to speak out against injustice of all types. You see the injustice currently in Para Chinar, where the followers of Ahlul Bayt are being massacred. You see the injustice currently in Bahrain, where the followers of Ahlul Bayt are being imprisoned. You see currently in Saudi Arabia, where the followers of Ahlul Bayt are being detained for no reason whatsoever. When we see this, it's our role to act like Abu Dhar. Because Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, the one aspect of his life which you could write on his tombstone was that he was a man who never remained silent when he saw injustice. As in on many occasions you find that the reason oppression occurs in society isn't because of the words of the oppressors, but because of the silence of the good. The silence of the good sometimes allows oppression to continue. You find that when you look in the world today, if the oppression is within Islam, we have to speak out against it. If the oppression is outside of Islam, where our non-Muslim brethren may at times be being oppressed, we have to speak out against it. Wherever there is dhulm, where there is oppression on this earth, It's the role of a Muslim to become Abu Dhar. Hence, Dr. Ali Shari'ati once wrote a work called And Once Again Abu Dhar. The idea of this work was to highlight that Abu Dhar al-Ghafari gave life to the religion of Islam after the Prophet passed away. That when the Prophet passed away, there were certain injustices that were occurring in society, which Abu Dhar al-Ghafari's voice ensured that these injustices were cut. Let's try and look at his biography and see what we can learn and apply in our lives today. Of course, his original name is not Abu Dhar. His original name is Jundub. Jundub, the son of who? The son of Janada. His father Janada and his mother was called Ramla. Originally they were from the tribe Bani Ghafar, hence Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. Banu Ghafar were an offshoot of Banu Kinana. They were a renowned tribe between Mecca and Medina, a renowned tribe for one particular act. They were highway thieves. Highway thieves meaning what? Meaning if you pass by their road, there's no way you'll pass by with your caravan full. By the time you've passed by their caravan, your caravan would be looted. And they'll look at you when they've taken your goods and say to you, what are you going to do about it? You want to fight Banu Ghafar? Nobody wants to fight Banu Ghafar. Because from father to son, they are highway thieves. They're bandits on the highway. As in, you can tell that a society which is full of corruption always has these types of highway thieves on the main roads. Especially you find that Prophet Shu'aib alayhi salam, if you were to read his story in the Quran, one of the areas he sought to reform in the people of Madian was the fact that they were highway thieves. Likewise, Abu Dhar, his father, his uncles, all of them were highway thieves. They were gangsters. They would stand by the side of the road. If your caravan passed by, they'll say to you, can you see us? You'll say, I understand. Here, take my caravan and its goods. Meaning there's no way that you can get past his father or his family when you are traveling without looking after them with a particular tip. You found that although many of this tribe were highway thieves, the young Abu Dhar did not want to be one. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari at a young age used to make it clear, I have no interest in being one of you in terms of your job. I'll just remain a farmer. I'll be a shepherd. I'll look after the sheep, nothing more. You can go and do what you want to do. I'm not entertaining any such activity. His tribe, Bani Ghafar, they used to worship an idol of the idols of Quraish. The idols of Quraysh, which ones were they? You had Hubal, you had Uzza, you had Lat, and you had Manat. These idols of Quraysh, each one of them was a goddess of something else. You find until today when people come to you and they say to you that there are these religions which aren't people of the book, but they believe in one God. I say, I know, you're right, they believe in one God. Who told you they didn't? They believe in one God, but they put God into images, don't they? Say, yes, they do. I said, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be put into an image. Shirk doesn't mean you just put partners to God. Shirk also means believing in one God, but at the same time doing what? Making an image of that God. The Arabs were the same. If you went to any Arab in Quraysh, you'd say to him, do you believe in God? Yes. How many? One. So what's Uzza? What's Manat? What's Lat? Oh, he says these are the images of God. We don't worship them. They bring us closer to Allah. Rather, we take them as being signs of God's attributes on earth. You found that Bani Ghafar used to worship the idol by the name of Manat. Manat was the goddess of destiny. You know what's so ironic about the Arabs? One minute they make their idols goddesses, the next minute they're burying females alive. Their concept of the female was very awkward, as in you don't understand what exactly is happening here. A female is a disgrace, then a god becomes a female. Any feminist would enjoy writing an essay on this particular area, especially. You find therefore that they used to have an idol by the name of Manat. Manat used to be the goddess of destiny. If something went wrong in their destiny, they'd all go and give a sacrifice to Manat. So for example, you have this idol called Manat, you go and put a glass of milk next to it, because you know an idol needs to drink every once in a while. No, I wish we were in intellectual times today. I honestly wish. As in when I look in the world today, I always hear that we are in intellectual times. When you see until today that someone may donate food, not to an idol. We've moved on, alhamdulillah. Now we donate food to rats. You put a rat in a temple, and you'll donate food to them. That's how far the human being has come in 2,000 years. You find here, what do? Here they came forward, whenever there would be a problem, they'd pray to Manat. On one occasion, Abu Dhar and his family and the tribe faced the problem. What was it? There was a drought. There was a drought in Arabia. And when there was a drought, the family said, let's pray to Manat. Oh Manat, please bring us some rain. Of course, there was nothing happening. So then they said, then we'll travel all the way to Mecca where Manat was. Now, the Meccans used to love when these people would come, especially people like Abu Sufyan. I've always said in my lectures, and I repeat it 100 times, that I've never believed Abu Sufyan worshipped an idol or he worshipped God. None of them. I don't believe he worshipped any of them. I am adamant that Abu Sufyan would not put his head down to anything. What Abu Sufyan loved about idols, it brings in money, because these guys come traveling, so they're going to have to stay in Mecca. So they're going to run out of money, so you take their money and you become a loan shark. You then charge interest on the money, and before you know it, you're multimillionaires. So what happened was, these people would go. Abu Dhar had a brother by the name of Unais. Unais came to Abu Dhar and said, Abu Dhar, let's go towards Mecca. Abu Dhar said, why? He said, let's go to pray to Manat, that he lets rain come down on us. Abu Dhar said to him, you must be joking. What are you talking about? He said to him, what? He said, you must be joking. You're telling me that I'm going to go to an idol, which I myself can make. And that idol which I can make, and if I want, I'll pick up an axe and break. It can't harm me, nor does it benefit me. You're telling me that I'm going to go and lower my head before it? Have you ever thought about what you are saying? His brother Unais looked at him and said, but Abu Dhar, the whole tribe believes in such a thing. And that's the problem in humanity sometimes. If your father follows something, you've got no choice but to act in the same way as him. A human being is a free being. Sometimes when you find certain people, even within the school of Ahl al-Bayt, you tell them, excuse me, that's what your fathers practiced. Maybe the generation today, the practice could be done in a different way. No, my father done it in that way in Muharram, I must do it in that way. What do you mean you must do it? You live in the West, he lived in the East. As in the West, the way they see these things are different from the way they see them in the East. No, my family practiced in this way. I don't care if the Western mind is in the same, we have to continue. You find sometimes the human being's mind can be rigid. Likewise, Abu Dhar told his brother Unais, he said, Unais, leave these people. Unais said, so what shall we do? It's a drought. He said, we'll go to our maternal uncle's house, we'll go and stay in his house, and we'll be happy there. Until the drought is over, we'll come back. When the two of them went to their uncle's house, the rest of Bani Ghafar became jealous of them. So when they became jealous of them, what did they do? They decided that what we're going to do is make a rumor either about Abu Dhar or about Unais. Because they could see Abu Dhar and Unais were pure people. They won't follow the stereotype. And in any community, when you're pure, you'll always find the non-religious are after you. Don't be surprised. Have you ever noticed, the more you become religious, the more shaitan begins to affect you from one side and your community from the other. Two people. And sometimes can be called the same. You find here that what happens? You find here what happens is that they said, let's make a rumor about Abu Dhar and his brother. One of the people said, I'll make a rumor about Unais, not Abu Dhar. Said, what's the rumor? They said, we'll make a rumor that Unais had a relationship with his uncle's wife. And the human being, as Amir al-Mu'mineen used to say about the tongue, جُرْمُهُ صَغِيرٌ وَجُرْمُهُ ثَقِيلٌ. That you find that the human being's tongue is what? You find the human being's tongue, the weight is so light, but the power is so devastating. Isn't that true? The human being, if he makes a scandal, he makes a scandal. This Unais, the rumor went round that Unais has been in a relationship with his uncle. His uncle came, he said, Abu Dhar, Unais, I know this isn't true. Abu Dhar said, of course at that time his name was Jundub, he said, yes, my uncle. You know that this isn't true at all. So then the reply came that Abu Dhar was wondering, why has my uncle begun to treat me differently? He knows that it's not true, that my brother has committed adultery with his wife. But our uncle's now treating us differently. He said, Unais, let's go. Unais said, what do you mean let's go? We've already left our tribe. We've come to our uncle's house. What do you mean let's go? He said, I'm not going to allow that man to treat me unjustly. You haven't even done anything wrong and he's treating us in a bad way. Let's go. We'll go somewhere else. He said, Unais, never sit down when you see injustice. Get up and speak. And if the people don't like you speaking, you continue speaking. Because you as a human being have dignity. You have principles. There is no harm in speaking out when you've been treated unjustly. What do the narration state? The narration state that Abu Dhar and Unais left. They were waiting to see which caravans were passing by. A caravan was passing by going towards Mecca. Abu Dhar said to them, why are you going towards Mecca? The reply that came was, we're going because we've heard that there is a man who's come with a new message. Which message? They say this man has come with a message, but he cannot bring the message out. He cannot come out publicly with the message. Abu Dhar said to his brother Unais, he said, Unais, go check what the message is. Unais said, very well. Unais went and was the first of the brothers to meet the Prophet. When he met the Prophet, he asked him, he spoke with him. The Prophet explained to him about the principles of Islam, but the Prophet said, please keep it quiet. Don't tell the whole world. It's still early days. Unais came back to Abu Dhar. He said, Jundub. He said, yes. He said, this man who I met is Al-Sadiq, Al-Amin. I'm telling you, you have to meet him. His his face radiates with light. So Abu Dhar said, okay, very well, but how do I meet him? He said, well, you're not going to be able to go to him directly. I was lucky I had a caravan. You can't go directly. He said, so what's the way I'm going to go? He said, the best way for you is you hang around the Kaaba. Just hang around there. Slowly get to know the people. When you get to know, somehow indirectly go and visit him. Abu Dhar narrates that when I was standing outside the Kaaba, I'm standing there on the first day, I'm looking around. I'm looking. Nobody seems to recognize me. I don't seem to recognize anyone. I'm thinking, how do I ask them, where is Muhammad? As in, it might be a dangerous time. So he said, I saw this young man. And when I saw this young man, I looked at him and I said, the young man looked at me and he said, you look lost here. Are you looking for anyone? He said, no, I'm all right. I'm just come here to visit the Kaaba and I'm just having a look around and there's many idols here and, just looking. He said, okay. The next day, the young man came back to him. He said, you found the person you're looking for? He said to him, yes, as in, we're enjoying the time here and it's good and so on. He said, are you sure you don't need help? He said to him, no, I don't need help. There's no problem here at all. He said, okay, very well. And he left him. On the third day, the young man came again. Abu Dhar looked at him. He said, young man, what's your name? As in, who are you keeping coming up to me? He said, I am Ali, son of Abu Talib. So he looked at him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He said, I am Ali, son of Abu Talib. Abu Dhar said, okay. He said to him, are you sure you're not looking for someone? It's as if a relationship of love begins here. Because he'll remember this person for the rest of his life. So he says to him, are you sure you're not looking for someone? He said, I don't know if you know the person I'm looking for. I don't know if you know the person I'm looking for. So he said to him, what's his name? He said, Muhammad, son of Abdullah. He looked at him and he said, yes, I think I know him. Let's go and see him. So Imam Ali took him to that person who he knows very well because he's only brought him up all his life. So he took him towards the house of Rasulullah. Abu Dhar entered. When Abu Dhar, he narrates that I saw the face of Rasulullah, I knew that I was on the right path. I knew I had come to the man. He goes, my heart did not stop beating from my love for this man. I knew straight away. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He said, when I saw this young man, I knew that my heart did not stop beating. When I saw the Prophet of God, he said, I saw the Prophet of God and I sat with him. I said, oh Prophet of God, what is your message? He said to him, my message is the belief in oneness of God. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I promise you, from the day I was a young man, I used to believe in the oneness of Allah. My tribe may have worshipped an idol by the name of Manat, the goddess of destiny, but I myself never ever came near that idol. He said to him, we believe in a day of judgment. He began to explain to him the principles of the religion. Rasulullah said to him, but one thing, Abu Dhar, don't go out and tell everyone just yet. Let's keep it a bit quiet between a few people. Abu Dhar said, don't worry, Ya Rasulullah, I'll only keep it between a few people. He said, thank you very much. The next minute, Abu Dhar's gone to the top of the Kaaba. Oh people, my name is Jundub ibn Janada. I am also known as a follower of Rasulullah, and I swear that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Allahumma salli ala. Before you knew it, the whole of Quraish was coming to beat him. Everyone came and punched everything out of him. And while he's on the ground, he's calling out, I only follow the Prophet. I only follow the Prophet. And they're hitting him. And he had to be saved by someone. He went back. The Prophet said to him, Abu Dhar, what happened to you? Just a few moments ago, you were looking smooth. There wasn't a problem. Now what's wrong? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I only told a few people, about your message and so on. You said only tell a few. He said, but how did you reach this stage? He said, I don't know. So, okay, very well. Just, keep it to a few. We can't tell everyone. He went back out again. Oh people, I am Jundub ibn Janada, and I have come to tell you that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Again, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Again, as soon as this happened, they came and they were beating him until Abbas, the uncle of Rasulullah, saw them beating him. He came and he said, all of you guys who are beating him, I'll just give you some news. His family is Bani Ghafar. Everyone ran away. Why? Because you knew that if we're going to go on a journey now, his dad finds out that his son's been beaten, you're not going to have a caravan, let alone goods in a caravan. They'll even take the caravan as well. So everybody ran away because that's Bani Ghafar's son. As in, like, that's the son of someone in the mafia. You know, you're not going to mess about with someone like that because automatically you know you're going to die tomorrow. So what happened was that Rasulullah saw Abu Dhar. He said, listen, Abu Dhar, okay, forget telling about everyone. Don't worry about it. Do one thing for me. He said, what is it, Ya Rasulullah? He said, go back to Bani Ghafar. He said, Ya Rasulullah, you've just begun the religion in Mecca. What do you mean go back? I want to be with you. I want to be with Ammar. I want to be with Zayd. I want to be with Ali, son of Abu Talib, the young man who knows everything in this area. I want to be with all of you. He said, no, go back to Bani Ghafar. First your tribe, then the outer community. And that's a lesson for all of us. That first begin with your own community, then go out to the world and tell them. Sometimes you have some of us, our houses are about to break from the lack of religion, but we want to tell everybody else how to be religious. Have you seen the way your son is? Why are you telling about the whole world to be religious? Look at your son. First bring him, then make the world religious. You've seen your daughter the way she is? First go and tell them about the religion, then go and say he's good, he's munafiq, he's muqassar. You know, all these terms are coming up these days. This man is a munafiq, he's Yazid, he's muqassar. I don't know. The worst thing is the ones who are saying it, you look at him in the face, you think, who even allowed you to have an opinion? As in, you look at him, you're not even worth anything. But you find that they open their mouth. Their houses are like straw, or like the house of the Ankabut, the spider. It falls. The Holy Prophet told Abu Dhar, Abu Dhar, I don't want you to go and tell the whole of Mecca about Islam. Go and tell Bani Ghafar first. Because they worship an idol. You go and change them. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'll go and change them. Do you know when Abu Dhar left, Islam was at the beginning. Do you know when he returned to Rasulullah? At Khaibar. All those years he was away from Islam. He was with Bani Ghafar. He missed Badr, he missed Uhud, he missed Khandaq, he returned at Khaibar. When he went back to Bani Ghafar, their head was called Ibn Nadba. When he went to Bani Ghafar and went to Ibn Nadba, you found that what had happened was that he came to him. He said to the head of Ibn Nadba, he said to him, you are like a father figure to me. And he looked at Abu Dhar, he said, oh Jundub, you are like a son to me. What is it? He said, I've joined the religion of Rasulullah. I've joined the religion. When Ibn Nadba heard this, he said, don't worry, does the religion make sense to you? He said, yes, it does. He said, explain it to me. He began to explain the holistic system of the religion of Islam. When he heard it, he said, very well, what do you want to do now? He said, I want to tell my community about the religion, because all of them still worship Manat, but I want to explain to them why I don't worship Manat. So Ibn Nadba, because he was a man of justice, said to him, are there any intellectuals in Mecca who have joined Muhammad's religion? Why does he say that? If he hears that everyone who's emotional is a member of the religion, then without a shadow of doubt, what will you find? You'll find that what will happen is that he'll come forward and he'll say, well, these people are emotional. None of the intellectuals are here. Whereas if he finds out what? If he finds out the intellectuals have joined, then he'll join. Because naturally we want our mosques to be full of graduates. We want our mosque to be full of people who have read either secularly or in the main educational circles. We don't want our mosque to be illiterate without people reading, because people get attracted when they see religions with people of knowledge. So what happened was that he came to him, he said to him, yes, Waraqa bin Nawfal has been attracted by the religion of Islam. That's one opinion that was given. Another was Qais bin Sa'ad has been attracted by the religion. So what happened was, when these two came, when he heard of these two, he said, very well, tell Bani Ghafar. Abu Dhar sat down, the whole of Bani Ghafar was sitting down. He said to them, I have come here as your brother, and I want to tell you why I became a Muslim. They said, very well, tell us. He said, because of the urine of a fox. He said, sorry? Everyone's like, sorry, what do you say? He said, the urine of a fox. People are thinking to themselves, we thought he's going to say God, and he was theology and justice and all these. Then the urine of a fox. We thought we're the ones who aren't educated. He said, Abu Dhar, what do you mean? He said, do you remember when we were younger, we take trips to Mecca? They said, yes. He said, do you remember when we take trips to Mecca, we'd always say, let's leave some milk next to Manat? They said, yes. He said, so do you know what actually made me join the religion of someone like the Prophet? They said, we don't know. He said, once you told me, go put milk, so I left the milk there. When all of you were going back to the caravan, I stayed sitting. I kept on staring at the idol and the milk. And I saw this fox walking past and it started drinking the milk. And when a fox finishes drinking, what does it do? It lets it all back out. And who did it let it back out on? The person or the idol that you worship. He said, if the idol can't it protect itself from the urine of a fox, how is it going to protect Abu Dhar al-Ghafari? Half of the tribe, why? Because rationally, not emotionally. When we talk of the message of this religion, you don't need to talk emotionally, brothers and sisters. Talk with this. We found Allah not through this, but through this. Likewise, in the religion of Islam and the school of Ahlul Bayt especially, when you hear preachers who preach all emotional rhetoric, tell him, listen, we're human beings. We don't need 25, 45 minutes of emotion. Give us something which makes the mind actually click. Let us understand the religion from here, not just the whole lecture emotional. You found that what happened was that they came, they said half of us will join the religion. Very good. Half joined the religion. The other half said we're not joining because a prophet of God should prophesize. A prophet of God, if he truly receives revelation from God, should prophesize, meaning what? Meaning that he should receive a revelation that will happen and that will make us believe. And notice how beautiful religion's balance is. Sometimes you use intellect, sometimes you may need to use miracles. It's a balance. Some people, the intellect appeals to them, some people know the miracles appeal to them. Abu Dhar said, very well, my prophet told me before I came to you that you're going to ask this question. And my prophet said to me that one day Bani Ghafar will help me in the land of the palm trees. At the time, Rasulullah was in Mecca. It wasn't the land of the palm trees. The land of the palm trees was Medina. So Bani Ghafar said, well, Muhammad's in Mecca. He's not in Medina. If he happens to go to Medina, then we'll believe in him. But he's in Mecca and he'll never go to Medina because naturally Mecca is his home. Nobody leaves their home. You found that they waited and waited until Rasulullah established the message in Medina. When he established the message in Medina, Bani Ghafar all became Muslims, but still they hadn't joined the Prophet. At Badr, Abu Dhar wasn't there. At Uhud, Abu Dhar wasn't there. At Khandaq, Abu Dhar wasn't there. Until Surah 61 verse 10 of the Quran was revealed. Surah 61 verse 10, what does it say? Shall I tell you of a bargain that will keep you away from a grievous punishment? Those who give away from their lives and from their wealth towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Dhar, when he read this verse, when he heard it had been revealed, he said, you know what? At Badr, I didn't help Rasulullah. And at Uhud, I didn't help Rasulullah. And at Khandaq, I didn't help Rasulullah. And the Quran says that the best of people are those who strive with their wealth, are those who strive with everything that they have. He said, from now on, I'm going to go to help Rasulullah. And the first battle he reached to help Rasulullah was the battle of Khaibar. And when he came, do you know battle of Khaibar is great for Bani Ghafar? Not just because Abu Dhar had returned, no. But also because Bani Ghafar's women were the nurses at Khaibar. These women, who a few years earlier were worshipping idols, were now nursing the wounds of the soldiers at Khaibar. But one particular person at Khaibar, Abu Dhar, looked at him and he said, this young man's grown. Because when he saw the performance of Amir al-Mu'mineen on the day of Khaibar, he remembered the young Ali ibn Abi Talib when he had seen him, only 13 years old. He now looked at Ali ibn Abi Talib on the day of Khaibar, 29 years old. And Abu Dhar on that day says, Ali ibn Abi Talib's performance on that day, I have never seen a performance like that in my life. Why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen, as you know, on the day of Khaibar, he had an infection on his eye. He couldn't come out and fight. And so many of the other companions thought, well, considering he won the accolades at Badr and at Uhud and at Khandaq, maybe this is our turn. Maybe we may have a chance now that we win the accolades. But every single time the Prophet gives the banner to someone, they come back without victory. Why? Because Marhab, the head of the opposition, is not an easy man to fight. As in, you're talking about a man who's the most ferocious of the warriors of the Jews of Khaibar. Nobody came near him. And you found that the Prophet knew that there's only one man who was able to defeat this man. But the man's got an eye infection. He told them, call Ali for me. They said, Ya Rasulullah, he has an eye infection. He said, bring him to me. When they brought him, he took some of his saliva. He touched the eye of Imam Ali. The narration states that Imam Ali said, I had never had eyesight better than on that day. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, what did he say? Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas said, we had all come back that night and the Prophet said tomorrow. I will give the banner to a man who loves me and Allah and me love him. When he goes on the battlefield, he never comes back except with victory. So everyone thought, is it me? Is it me? Is it me? Everyone started thinking it's them. The next day he gave the banner to the Imam the moment after he had put the saliva. When he put the saliva, he gave him the banner straight away. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas said, Ali ibn Abi Talib ran out alone. Alone. He said, the rest of us haven't even worn our armors. We're still on the ground sitting. He said, Ali ibn Abi Talib just ran out alone towards the front. And he stood there. Marhab that night, the Jewish warrior, had seen in a dream that he would be killed by a lion. But he himself did not understand the meaning. As in, I'm going to be killed by a lion, but what does it mean when it says lion? Of course, one of Imam's names is Haydar. So when he came out, Marhab came out and introduced himself. And then the Imam came forward and said, I am the one whose mother named him Haydar, which means I am the one whose mother named him the lion. As soon as he said that, he not only annihilated Marhab, he annihilated his brothers and annihilated the opposition at that time. Abu Dhar said, I saw Ali ibn Abi Talib as a 29-year-old destroy the opposition at the Battle of Khaibar. And then after that, what did he say? The narration states that after Khaibar, what was the next incident for Abu Dhar? At the Battle of Tabuk. Why? Tabuk, Imam Ali's only war where he didn't fight, because Rasulullah left him in charge of Medina. Do you know why he left him in charge of Medina? He's already telling the people, when I'm out of Medina, only one man can look after Medina. It's an indication. He's telling them that if I die, this is the only man who can look after this area. I'm leaving him behind. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, when he's going towards Tabuk to fight the Christians at the time, Abu Dhar al-Ghafari was on a camel. The rest were on camels. The problem was Abu Dhar al-Ghafari's camel was the laziest camel any human being will ever have. As in, this camel wants to stop to drink water. Drink water. Rasulullah with the horses and camels are moving. Abu Dhar, where is he? His camel has stopped to drink water. Okay, let's continue. Abu Dhar, where is he? Until the army kept going at a pace, Abu Dhar al-Ghafari's camel could not continue. When they reached the area before Tabuk, some of the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, you always praise Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. You say Abu Dhar al-Ghafari's taqwa is the same as Prophet Jesus. We have a hadith that Abu Dhar al-Ghafari's taqwa, his consciousness of Allah, is the same as Jesus, son of Mary. Exactly the same. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, he's probably giving you an image. Here we've gone for war, he's gone back home, and look. Within a distance, they see Abu Dhar al-Ghafari coming on his camel and suddenly falling. When he fell by Rasulullah quickly said, go and get him water quickly, I can tell he's thirsty. So they said to him, Abu Dhar, what's wrong? When he woke up, he said, Ya Rasulullah, as you know, my camel was languishing behind, and my camel would drink and drink. On our way, I was thirsty. I was about to take a sip of water, then I thought, how dare I drink when my Prophet may be thirsty? How do I know that my Prophet has drunk water? Maybe he hasn't. And I'm willing to drink some water, and possibly Rasulullah has died of the heat of this desert. I'm not going to drink. I'm going to continue and continue. And if it means I die in the way, I'll die. But I want to see that my Prophet has drunk water. Only now that I've seen you drink water, Ya Rasulullah, I am happy with what I did. Notice that level of piety of Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. And that's why Rasulullah at that moment would be sad when he'd say, lonely was Abu Dhar in this world. Lonely when he was alive, lonely when he dies, and lonely when he'll be resurrected. Imagine. And truly that was a prophecy for Abu Dhar. Do you know why? Because you found Abu Dhar al-Ghafari on the day of Ghadir. We have narrations on the day of Ghadir that when the Prophet said, Alastu awla bikum min anfusikum, and the reply was yes, and he said, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyu mawla. When he said that, he then asked Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, get up and recite an adhan, but include Ashhadu anna aliyan waliyullah in the adhan. There is a narration. Now, of course, the debate over the narration I can discuss in another lecture. That would need an hour to discuss it. But notice he tells Abu Dhar, not somebody else. He says, Abu Dhar, you go up and you recite the adhan, and now that I've said, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyu mawla, now I want to hear it in the adhan, Ashhadu anna aliyan waliyullah. And that's why you find that Abu Dhar, like Salman we discussed, like Miqdar we discussed, like Ammar we discussed in the previous nights, that Abu Dhar is the one who was with Imam Ali at Saqifa. After Saqifa happened, and those people came with their shaved heads, we said 5 came with their heads shaved. And one of them was Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. And you know Abu Dhar al-Ghafari was the actual one who was holding the front of Bibi Fatima's janazah. And you know he's the one who narrates that I saw Imam al-Hassan, Imam al-Hussein on their mother's body. And I saw them crying. Please listen to this line. I saw them crying and crying. And he said, especially I saw the young Hussein on the chest of his mother. And I saw Abu Abdullah crying. He said, when I saw him crying that much, I promise you I saw Ali speaking to Jibreel. And Jibreel telling him, remove Hussein from the chest of his mother. For the angels cannot bear to see Imam al-Hussein crying on the chest of his mother. And that's why the famous poet says, if the angels couldn't bear to see Imam al-Hussein on the chest of his mother, then how did they bear to see Shimr sitting on his chest? But you find that Abu Dhar al-Ghafari was there. He was amongst the loyal ones. With Ahlul Bayt, he remained loyal to all of them. And the narrations, what do they state to us? They state to us that in the time of the first and second caliph, he was quiet. Nor did he take any position. We said Ammar ibn Yasir yesterday, maybe he took a position as the governor of Kufa on the commands of Amir al-Mu'mineen. But Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, the narration state, did not take any position from the first caliph. From the second, but when the third caliph came in, nobody was as outspoken against Uthman ibn Affan like Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. Nobody. Do you know why? Abu Dhar al-Ghafari was thinking, okay, you've taken the leadership of my master. You've taken his leadership, I don't mind. But what's this I see that the Bayt al-Mal, the treasury of the Muslims, is being given to every Tom, Dick and Harry? As in Marwan ibn al-Hakam, do you know how much he received from the Bayt al-Mal under Uthman? 500,000 dinar. Marwan ibn al-Hakam, who Rasulullah kicked out of the Islamic State. Abu Bakr didn't bring him back. Umar didn't bring him back. Uthman brought him back. Abu Dhar saw, he said, what? Marwan ibn al-Hakam gets 500,000 dinar for what? Then he also Harith ibn al-Hakam, 300,000 dinar. Zayd ibn Thabit, 100,000 dinar from the Khums of Africa. One after another, these guys are taking money, one after another. Abu Dhar said, what's all this money that you're giving people? Uthman said, what's it to you? I'm the Khalif of the time and we're giving out money. He said, how dare you give out the money of the Muslims in this way? To people who do not deserve it at all. This money has to be distributed fairly, because whenever you see a poor Muslim country, know that the people at the top aren't distributing. And see also when you see poor followers of Ahlul Bayt, know that the khums isn't being distributed properly. He spoke out. He saw the khums isn't being given properly. He saw the people receiving the khums. When he saw this, what did he say? He came out and he said very clearly. He came out and he said very clearly that Uthman, this will not be allowed. Even he saw Ka'b al-Ahbar. Ka'b al-Ahbar is meant to be a scholar. He said, Ka'b al-Ahbar, I see you're enjoying your time with Uthman, taking all the money in. Uthman, do you know what he did? He exiled him to where? To Syria next to Muawiyah. If you think here was extravagance, you haven't seen extravagance yet. He got to Muawiyah, he saw Muawiyah, he's looking outside, he sees the Green Palace. Al-Khadra is still in Syria until today, the Green Palace. He sees it. He said, so this is the Khalif, this is the governor of Sham? And he's got a palace that big while there are poor people in the streets? So they said to him, yes. He said, very well, leave this to me. Every morning, he stands outside Muawiyah's house, outside the palace, reciting Surah 9, verse 34. Every morning. He just stands outside there, keeps reciting it. I'm not going to allow that man to rest. They said to him, why? He said, do you know who his mother and father were? In the early days of this religion, when we had just joined, they used to beat us when we were Muslims. His mother chewed the liver of the uncle of Rasulullah. And you allow him to sit like this, taking your money? This man who claims he's a convert to Islam, when the reality is he's one of the tulaqa. He was a freed person on the day of the opening of Mecca. Sayyidah Zainab told Yazid in his palace, "O you whose father was freed by my grandfather." He would stand outside, he'd speak out. Muawiyah would send Amr ibn al-As, go and give him 300 dinar. We'll look after him. He'd say, take your 300 dinar. I'm not taking any of your money. He'd send Abu Darda, give him 300 dinar. Let this man shut up, this old man in his old age. He'd say, take your money back. I'm not taking any of your money. Rasulullah taught me, when you see injustice, speak out. You are an unjust man. If that palace is from your money, it's extravagant. If it's from the Muslims' money, it's illegal. And he kept on speaking. Do you know what Muawiyah did? He exiled him first to Jabal Amil, Lebanon. Today we have many of the followers of Ahlul Bayt from Jabal Amil. One of the greatest places for scholarship in this whole community, the school of Ahlul Bayt. Some of our greatest scholars were from Jabal Amil in Lebanon. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari had been the man who had stood there like a pillar in Jabal Amil. Muawiyah heard that Jabal Amil, all of them are becoming followers of Ahlul Bayt because of Abu Dhar. He said, bring this man back. I put him near my palace, he causes me trouble. I take him somewhere else, he causes me trouble. He said, take him back to Uthman. They said, how? He said, give him a horse. They said, that's it? He said, no, don't give him a saddle. Let him be tortured on a horse without a saddle. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari rides back from Syria all the way to Uthman bin Affan in a horse without a saddle. As in, I wonder about this history, because when you read the narrations we have in some of our books, the books of our brothers in other schools in Islam, everyone's going Jannah. Everyone. As in, all you had to do really was see the Prophet and you're in Jannah. Nothing else. He is going Jannah, and the one who killed him, and the one who tortured him, and the one who spoke out, all of them are in Jannah. Everyone's going to this Jannah. I don't know what's the need for anything else. If everyone's going to go to Jannah for this, then we should all go. You found that when he got to Uthman bin Affan, again, he wouldn't stay quiet. He'd say to him, you've usurped the caliphate, you've given positions back to your family, you've taken from the treasure of the Muslims. Uthman said, the best thing to do to this man is to exile him to a desert. The Rabada desert near Medina. He said, we'll exile him there, and we'll make him and his wife and his daughter and his son starve to death. Brothers and sisters, when we remember the Ahlul Bayt, don't forget their companions. Because do you know, Abu Dhar al-Ghafari took his wife, and he took his daughter, and he took his son. And he left with them. And Imam came to welcome him. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen came to give him the riddance. He came and he spoke to him. Imam said to him, oh Abu Dhar, you only love the truth, and you hate untruth. And tomorrow you'll see who the winner is. People ask, why didn't Imam Ali help Abu Dhar at that time? Because it's the same situation as was before. The same henchmen are sitting in power who have a majority. What do? You fight them, you destroy the religion of Islam. You don't fight, you keep the religion alive. And Abu Dhar al-Ghafari said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, you don't have to talk like that to me. It's my honor to be in a position where I sacrifice speaking for your right. They say Ammar ibn Yasir could not stop crying when Abu Dhar was being exiled. Ammar ibn Yasir, the narrations, if you read them, say Ammar ibn Yasir was on the verge of falling unconscious because he could not believe that this Abu Dhar would be left in a desert alone. Do you know what a desert alone means? It means we're going to wait till you die of starvation. And he took his wife, he took his son, he took his daughter. As soon as his wife and his son, on the first day they were there, they died of poisoning of the grass. Because you don't have nothing to eat. So you eat the grass and the weeds, don't you? The one they happened to eat was poisonous, they died. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, who the Prophet said nothing but truth comes out of his mouth. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, the Prophet said the heavens and the earth have never seen a man walk on the grass like Abu Dhar. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, who Rasulullah said his taqwa is the same as Jesus, son of Mary, is left alone in a desert, left to die alone, until his daughter, she looked at him, she said, Dad, are we on the truth? So he said, yes. She said, then why have they left us alone like this? That my mother is dead and my brother is dead. What have we done wrong to them? Haven't we spoken out? He said, do not worry, my daughter. In this world you may not see it, but in the hereafter the reward will come. Imam Ali bid him farewell. Aqil, the brother of Imam Ali, bid him farewell. Imam al-Hassan bid him farewell. Imam al-Hussein bid him farewell. All of them came and they bid him farewell. And the narration states, Malik al-Ashtar, on the day that Abu Dhar died, his daughter had seen him dead. She wondered, is there anyone who's going to come? He told her, do not worry. My Mawla will make sure there's someone who leads my prayers. Malik al-Ashtar came and he was the one sent by Amir al-Mu'mineen to lead the janazah of Abu Dhar. He finished with the janazah, and had you seen the tears in Malik's eyes? Because he's looking at Abu Dhar and he's thinking, this is what the world done to a person like Abu Dhar, a person who left everything to help this religion, who went back and brought people towards Islam, and he ends up dying here, and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan sits in a palace. In the beginning of this religion, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan was the biggest enemy of the religion, and Abu Dhar was the biggest supporter, and this is what ends up. That's why in this world, don't say, why is the world against me, brothers and sisters? Because there were people greater than us the world went against. Isn't it? There are people who come up to me and say, Ammar, the world is against me, everything's wrong for me. I said, did you see Abu Dhar? When you saw Abu Dhar in that position, did you ever say, Alhamdulillah? And you found truly he followed the words of the Imam in every way possible. That Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was devastated when Abu Dhar died. Because Abu Dhar died only a few years before Imam Ali died. They were all in the same age bracket, and you found that Amir al-Mu'mineen loved Abu Dhar. Why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen, whenever he would tell anyone about the importance of the world, he'd say what? Be conscious of Allah, steadfast in your religion. Do not yearn for this world, nor should you be seduced by it. Do not resent anything that you have missed in it. Always proclaim the truth. Oppose the oppressor, support the oppressed. And truly Abu Dhar al-Ghafari echoed the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that's why these words which I narrated were the words Amir al-Mu'mineen recited when he was told to write his wasiyyah on the night of the 21st of Ramadan. The narrations, what do they state? They state on a night like this, Sayyidah Zainab was next to him, Bibi Kulthum was next to him, Abu Fadl al-Abbas, al-Baneen, all of them were around him. Imam al-Hassan was sitting by his side. The doctor, Athir bin Amr al-Sakuni, came to the Imam. He said to him that now it's the time to write your will, O son of Abu Talib. You must write your will, for now it's your final moments. And those of you who've seen your father die will know how difficult the final moments are. When you see your father on that deathbed and your father is giving you each a piece of advice, naturally each and every one of us would want to know what the advice is of our father. Therefore, what do you find? You find that especially in this situation, you find with Amir al-Mu'mineen that he sat down with his family members and he was beginning his wasiyyah. When he began his wasiyyah, listen to the words of this wasiyyah and you'll see that the Imam sought to provide a guidance for mankind with the wasiyyah that he left behind. The Imam came forward and he said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. هذه وصية العبد لله أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب أنه يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون وأن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. O children of Abd al-Muttalib, I advise you to be conscious of Allah and steadfast in your religion. Do not yearn for this world and nor should you be seduced by it. Do not resent anything that you have missed in it. Always proclaim the truth and work for the next world. Oppose the oppressor and support the oppressed. O children of Abd al-Muttalib, be conscious of Allah and remove your differences and strengthen your ties. For your grandfather Rasulullah said, reconciliation of differences is greater than fasting and prayer. Fear Allah in relation to charity, for it cools the divine anger. Fear Allah in relation to your prayers, for they are the pillar of your religion and the best of deeds. Fear Allah in relation to your fasting, because it is the one that protects you from hell. Fear Allah in relation to the orphans, attend to their nutrition, and do not forget their interests in the middle of yours. Fear Allah in relation to your neighbors, that your grandfather Rasulullah used to stress on this so much, and that I thought they would have a share of our inheritance. Remain attached to the Quran. Nobody should surpass you on being being intent on it or more sincere than you on implementing it. Persist with jihad with your mouth or with your soul or with your wealth. O children of Abd al-Muttalib, maintain communication and exchange opinion amongst yourselves. Beware of disunity and enmity. Always praise the good and forbid the evil. Otherwise the worst of you will be the leaders, and you will not have an excuse to give to your Lord. O children of Abd al-Muttalib, please listen to these lines. O children of Abd al-Muttalib, do not shed the blood of the Muslims under the banner that the Imam has been assassinated. Only the assassin should be put to death. O children of Abd al-Muttalib, if his one strike kills me, then strike him with one. Do not mutilate his body, for Rasulullah used to say, you should not even mutilate the body of a rabid dog. Truly, the way Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib treated Ibn Muljam made his children cry even more. Because when he saw Ibn Muljam the first time, he said, remove the rope from his hands. They said, Father, why? He said, I cannot bear to see a human with a rope around their hands. Then when he saw Ibn Muljam the second time, he said, before you give me water, give him water. They said, why? He said, because I cannot bear to see a human thirsty in front of me. Feed him with what you eat and clothe him with what you wear and let him drink what you drink. I ask you, brothers and sisters, if you had a father like Ali ibn Abi Talib, could you afford to allow him to go on a night like this? When the Imam finished his wasiyah, he called each of his children towards him. You know where I am heading now. Oh lover of Ahlul Bayt, you know where I am going. He called Sayyida Zainab towards him. He called Imam al-Hussein towards him. He called Kulthum towards him. And he called the rest of his children. He said to Sayyida Zainab, my wasiyah to you is to look after Imam al-Hasan. He said to Kulthum, my wasiyah to you is to look after Imam al-Hasan. He called Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and he said to him, my wasiyah to you is to look after your brother Imam al-Hasan. All of a sudden a lady by the name of al-Banin started walking towards Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. She sat by him and she began to whisper to him. She said, oh my beloved husband, you told all of the children about their wasiyah, but my Abu Fadil, you didn't tell him about his wasiyah. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen said, oh my al-Banin, call me Abu Fadil, let me speak to him. Abu Fadl al-Abbas was only around 14 or so years old at the time. When the Imam called him, the first thing he did was hold the hands of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. When he held the hands of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, he said to him, oh my beloved Abbas, I told Kulthum to look after Imam al-Hasan, and I told Zainab to look after Imam al-Hasan, and I told Imam al-Hussein to look after Imam al-Hasan. But as for you, I want you to look after the stranger of the 10th of Muharram. I want you to look after Abu Abdullah. Make sure that you protect Abu Abdullah. Do not allow anyone to come near Abu Abdullah. He looked at his father and he said, oh my father, I'll use my hands to protect Abu Abdullah. When you came to Karbala, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and you saw Abu Fadl lying on the ground, did you know that they struck his right hand and they struck his left hand? But Amir al-Mu'mineen, normally when a soldier falls off his horse, his hands are in front of him. When Abu Fadl fell off his horse, he fell directly with the arrow pierced in his eye on the ground. Raise your hands, brothers and sisters. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide us with the intercession of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, to allow us to be amongst those who visit the holy land of Najaf al-Ashraf. Allow us to receive the intercession of his grandson Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Our condolences go out on a night like this to Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all our Muslim brothers around the world, especially our brothers in Pakistan. Ya Allah, make their difficulty become ease and remove all the misfortunes from them. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the originators of this majlis, that Allah blesses them and surrounds them with the mercy of Muhammad and Al Muhammad. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a Surah Al-Fatiha, but before it, the loudest of your salawat. Please sit down, brothers. If we can sit.